Welcome back, everybody. Take a break with Stephen Shamus.
Happy New Year, Alex. How you doing, my friend?
Wonderful. It's a great year. We're sitting in 2022 as we speak, and it's wonderful. New year.
By the way,
new year, new me.
Lot of great films, a lot of great TV. Book of
So
Boba
much.
Fett.
So much.
Book of Boba Fett. By the way, how good is Book of Boba Fett?
Fantastic. Of course.
I'm already.
I don't hate anything. Yeah,
I'm knee deep in that.
Fantastic.
Knee deep in that. I love Spider-Man, which we're going to talk about
Hawkeye,
today.
Spider-Man. I mean,
oh my god,
we're treated, and now it's just we're written for multiverse.
Oh my god, it's
written
crazy.
It out.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, what do we got today?
Yeah, got up some fun things, some new stuff, but some old stuff also. Tom Holland is so hot right now, so hot. Spider-Man. Let's talk a little Spider-Man photo covers, because we've talked about a little bit about that in the past. They're mainly for signature series books, but I think that they're a little bit hotter than that even. Continue with the Tom Holland with Uncharted. We'll revisit Uncharted. Because those books are now doubling. We'll talk a little White Tiger, some more Marvel stuff. And we'll round it out with Akira, probably one of my favorite animated movies of all time. Top three minimum.
All right, cool. All right, what are we kicking it off with today?
Yeah, Tom Holland, he's so hot right now. Let's talk about his awesome photo covers. I mean, there's some good photo covers out there.
Yeah, so it's no more spoiler alert because you're weeks and weeks past the film.
Yeah.
But there are a few Andrew Garfield photo covers as well. We'll address those at a different time because Andrew has never done a private or sit down signing. The Tom Holland photo covers are on fire. This movie really blew up. Those photo covers were plentiful back in 2017 and 2019.
Totally.
But now not so plentiful. There's no Way Home photo covers that Marvel's released. I don't know why they didn't.
Not yet. I'm sure they're coming.
But the first two films' photo covers are on fire.
Yes.
The signature series, we're going to talk mostly about signature series today. A lot of times we talk about Blue Label. I think it's important to talk about Gold Label on these. Tom had done approximately 4 or 5 signings, I think, in addition to a few of the A shows that he did. I think he did the Keystone Con, and then he did Salt Lake City. So I think he did those two. I think he did A Chicago. He had done A Seattle. He had done Keystone. Ace Arizona. So I think that's 5, and maybe he did. I think that was 5 appearances that he had done. So he had definitely signed some of these books, but now they are on fire. And the history of the photo covers. I mean, we've seen photo covers throughout the history, and they make great signature series products. You know, the old Hayden Christensen ones, the old Princess Amidala ones when Natalie Portman signed. Those are very, very popular. So that's kind of where we're headed today. Is there anything else you want to add on the film, Alex, at all? Or
I mean, this is I think, and we can talk about it a little bit later because my picks might be coming up. But with photo covers, I think what the problem is in the aftermarket is the comic book fans don't really care about the photo covers, and it's the celebrity chasers. I don't want to use that word as a negative term, but it's the celebrity chasers. It's a dual collectible. It's a Spider-Man collectible. It's a comic book, and it's a photo cover. So getting him signed is like you're getting a photo signed, but it's also a comic book. So they get rare. I mean, I think anytime you see new miniseries come out, the Avengers Endgame stuff, there's some preludes to that had nice photo covers. Like, it's a good time to pick them up.
Yeah. And CGC Signature Series are, of course, witnessed. And then the dealers that I've spoken to that did get a lot of the books signed at our events were reporting complete sellouts and that these books are rising. So I actually think the prices I'm going to quote you today are probably outdated. But let's talk a little bit about them. Marvel Spider-Man Homecoming Prelude #1, May of 2017. It's so funny because Tom looks so young compared to where he is now. Baby face, right? That came out in May of 2017. There are 3 blue labels. There are 40 gold label 9.8s. They've been selling in the 450 range,
Woo.
but with 40 gold labels, I think that those are going to, I mean, I could swear the pop was higher on that one. But in any case, that's about a $450 book. Those are going higher now.
Yeah.
The second one was the Homecoming Prelude #2, which came out a month later. That's June of 2017. There's 0 blue labels, no surprise there, but there's 28 gold labels. Again, I would have thought there would have been more between the 5 events that he did. Hard to believe that there's only 28 of those.
Again, 9/8s. There might be a lot of 8/0s and 8/5s because again, these are banging around, but 9/8s are hard.
Yeah. Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man #1 movie variant cover that came out in August of 2017. That was obviously Far From Home. I'm sorry, that was still Homecoming because that was 2017. Yeah, there's 41 blue label, of course. 212 gold label 9.8. So that's the one that I saw a lot of. I think that's the one where you're standing on the train and mask is ripped off. That's a very, very popular one. 212 gold labels. But again, he did 5 signings, Alex. And in 5 signings, you only had 280 of the photo covers of the first film.
Right.
So I don't know. That seems pretty low. Wait till
they're
you
out there.
Far From Home. They're out there, but 280 combined is very small, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also about $450. But again, all 3 of those were selling in the 450 range, but I think they're going to go.
Yeah, they're going to jump. Yeah, definitely.
Because even if Tom does another sit down signing, you can't really find those books raw anymore because now
they've been eaten up.
It's almost a 5-year, right? It's a 4+ year old book. Okay. Then Spider-Man Far From Home, the Prelude #1, May of 2019. There's 2 blue label, 18 gold label 9/8s. I have not found one for sale with Tom's autograph. And those are $10 to $15 raw. And then Prelude #2 came out in June of 2019. There were 0 blue label, but there's 24 gold label 9.8s. Those are about $450. But again, those are going higher too. They're all going higher. If you think about the second film, there's only 42 combined gold labels.
That's small. See, the census might have not caught up, but again, it's 9/8s, when you have 10 copies of a book and you're putting it in front of somebody to get signed, they could get dinged.
Yeah. I mean, those are good buys if you could buy them. I would even buy blue label 9/8s in the hopes that Tom does another signing. I mean, obviously the pricing is going to be higher.
Yeah.
But I would do that. All right. What do you got next, Alex?
Keep on this Tom Holland train with Uncharted.
For sure. So, based on the video game, talk a little bit about the video game, Alex. Uncharted. Talk a little bit about the Tom Holland film and everything else.
Yeah. So, Nathaniel Drake, who is the lead character in Uncharted, think a little bit about like Indiana Jones type deal, a little bit more action packed. The video games were huge, a huge hit for PlayStation, humongous. I think it launched the PS4. One of the games that launched it was one of the Uncharted games, and people have been clamoring for this movie. And when Tom Holland got casted, these books went crazy. And again, we've talked about this in the past a little bit. When you see a video game property or a TV show property that's not maybe like that's fringe or supernatural, that's not huge in the comic book world, make a comic book in the aftermarket, the fans want those books and they go back to try to find them, and it's almost extremely impossible to find them.
Right. Okay. So Uncharted #1, January of 2012. It's a 10-year-old book.
An old book.
It's 10 years old already, Alex. Right? It's hard to believe. Josh Williamson's story, Sergio Sandoval and Paul Goss art with a Tony Harris cover. There are only 3 blue label 9/8s. They've sold in 100. Yeah, $150 to $200 for 9/0 or 9/2. It's a $55 raw book. So I would think a 9/8 is going to be in the $400 to $500 range. You cannot find it. I guess the stores didn't order that book. Were you working in Midtown back then? Yeah,
I was. It was ordered heavy enough, but again, it's a video game property. Your Spider-Man and Batman guy isn't. Nobody knows if they're going to pick them up. So unless you're pre-ordering these books, nobody knows what the numbers are going to be. So I'm sure they sat on the shelf for a little while, and after a couple of weeks, they sold out. But yeah, these are not high-ordered books.
Got it. The Adam Hughes variant cover, there are 2 blue label 9.8s. One just sold for $4,800.
Ow, that's
a 9.6 is about $3,000. You can't even find those raw. Period.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. You can't find them. They don't exist. Even the trade paperback is selling for $90.
Yikes.
So that must be out of the first print. Must
Definitely
be
out of print. Yeah.
out of print. Yeah. And it's a first print. Okay. Wow. That's a pretty big one.
A big
And
jump.
I mean, I do think you might be able to find some of these in these boxes, at these comic boxes at these dealers. All right, Alex. It's time for Alex's pick of the week. What do you got, Alex?
Let's keep talking about photo covers. We were talking about Tom Holland. You said that Andrew Garfield, there's some photo covers. I mean, for almost every major Marvel movie, there is a prelude type comic that comes out, a one shot. Movie comics have been going back, since the X-Men and original X-Men movie and original Spider-Man movie, Walmart comics and stuff like that. But, usually the movie adaptations and the preludes, people don't really pick them up because it's not the movie. You want to see the movie. You don't really care what happened. You don't care that Ant-Man, had an adventure at a Burger King before he got into the movie. Like, it's not a big deal. But for photorealistic covers, I mean, these are great things to have on hand if you do a signing. If Andrew Garfield does a signing, which I'm sure at some point you're going to get something. His resurgence is huge and really hot right now with the Spider-Man movie. Having these books on hand are good. And plus, they're neat books anyways. These are, if you're an MCU fan, having the Avengers Infinity War prelude CGCs on your wall look neat. I mean, it's photo covers.
People got hip to them later on after the Tom Holland stuff.
The
Chris Hemsworth ones look great.
The Thor ones are good.
The Black Widow ones look great. Look, even if you have some of the original Iron Man ones, those look great. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, Alex, that's a good one. All right, what do we got next?
White Tiger, Marvel's White Tiger.
Yes. So talk a little bit about White Tiger and why we're seeing these price jumps. Are we seeing White Tiger in a film, in a TV show, or what's going on with that?
I think one of the reasons why stuff like this is going hot is you see something like the Hawkeye miniseries, which introduced Echo and introduced her as a kind of a main villain. And now, who knows, in the comic book, she is a hero. But it's time for the B's and C guys to get some love because they're getting made into these movies and TV shows, and that the MCU kind of juggernaut is not stopping. It's only getting bigger. I mean, I think, after the Spider-Man movie, you can see that it's not going anywhere. Even in a pandemic, that movie made a ton of money in the movie theaters. And with White Tiger, that's a master kung fu character. It is a character that's still in the comics. There's 3 versions. They're all family members. It's a medallion or kind of passed down through generations. Hector Ayala is the one that original White Tiger. Then his niece gets it after he's dead, and then Hector's sister gets it again after that, and now she's like a new Avenger in Avengers Academy. So it's a character that's been in the Marvel Universe 3 iterations, continuing on. If it's in the Marvel Universe right now, the chances are it could be in a comic book tomorrow.
So
could be
there's
an MCU
definitely
tomorrow.
some speculation going on here.
100%. Yeah.
So Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 19, December of 75. There are 8 9.8s. There are 16 9.6s. There are 23 9.4s, and there are 14 9.2. So even above 9.2 is very, very hard. Wow. 9.2 just sold for $725.
Wow.
It's got Jim Starlin front piece in there, Bob Larkin cover,
a lot of
Iron
guys.
Fist cover and story, first White Tiger, Chris Claremont and Bill Mantlo stories, George Perez artwork. Obviously, George Perez just made his announcement recently. He's doing his final signing soon. I was trying to find something for him to sign. I couldn't find like books that I wanted to get signed. I didn't have anything laying around. So I don't know. But okay. Then you got Spectacular Spider-Man number 9. August of 77, little almost 2 years later, 68 9.8s, 115 9.6s.
Wow.
That book is about a $525 book in 9.8. It's about a $250 book in 9.6. That's the second White Tiger appearance. Also Bill Mantlo's story, so he must have been integral to it.
Yeah, totally.
Sal Buscema, Mike Esposito art with George Perez cover again. How about that? There's a 35-cent variant that also sold for $550, but in an 8.0, those 35-cent variants are impossible to find.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What are we closing out with today, Alex?
Again, I think it might be top 3 animated movies next to Transformers, something else. I'm sure it's there. I can't think of it, but Akira, one of the biggest things to come out of Japan in the manga scene, that still people are clamoring for today.
Yeah, I'm surprised we hadn't talked about Akira before. We've talked a lot about a lot of Japanese properties earlier, in earlier events, earlier shows. But this particular book has been, I remember, and don't want to date myself, I remember working in the comic shop back in the late 80s, early 90s, and people liked Akira then.
Yeah.
That book was popular then.
Yeah. Yep.
It was just one of those books. And by the way, it always makes me chuckle inside. There's so many books that I get nostalgic for, whether it's the Ninja Turtles or whatever. I'm like, that book was popular. But then there's stuff that never really took off, like the radioactive black belt hamsters.
Right. Yeah.
Or the uncensored mouse.
Yeah.
There was
even
so many
Cerebus to a degree. Like Cerebus is like, it's popular. It's a big book, but it's not thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Right. I mean, I remember the Love and Rockets books were hot. I mean, they're still popular. I mean, the Valiant books were on fire back then. They never really recaptured the former glory.
Right.
But it's just funny to me. It makes me chuckle sometimes. But Akira was a book that was popular back in the late 80s, early 90s, because I worked in the comic shop at the time.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about Akira and do you just think it's nostalgia, or what do you think's going on here?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, it was a very popular manga in Japan, probably the best selling at the time, just huge, humongous. Marvel decided to reprint it American style and color it. This is a black and white manga. This manga was originally published black and white. So Marvel got the publishing rights. They started doing the Akira books in color, and read American style. So, left to right, back to front, where manga is the complete opposite way.
Hebrew.
Exactly. So you knew how to read it no matter what, no matter which way it was in, you got it. Again, hugely popular. And funny, during the first lockdown, I tracked down all the original Akira issues. I had a good amount. I just needed a couple here and there. And I read them straightforward. And it's such a time capsule, because the first issue comes out and you're reading Akira. It's a popular manga. And then you start seeing, like, in the back of the book, it's like, oh, Akira's been bought to do an animated movie. Oh, Akira's going to be an animated movie. We're almost done doing Akira. And then the movie comes out, and then it just gets way, way hotter. And then the movie is what I think pushed this to be, a cultural phenomenon.
Right. Okay. But I do remember, by the way, when you look at that Akira 1 cover, it's iconic. Yeah, I remember that cover.
Totally.
I remember that cover in the store.
That design of that book for every single issue,
yes,
like 58 issues or something.
You're right.
The design with the big name Akira, small art box, and like a solid color. I mean, that's for 58 issues. You can't beat that. You're right.
All right. Akira #1, September of 88. 232 9.8s, 257 9.6s. That book has a high pop for 88, but I'm telling you, that book was hot 30 years ago. So people
square bounds.
People never tossed those books. Those books were never in dollar bins. Never. Those books were always popular.
Always.
Yeah. 164 9.4s. That #1 9.8 now is over $1,000, Alex.
Wow. That's pretty big.
It's 250 to 300 and a 9.6. I couldn't believe it. $1,000. I actually couldn't believe it myself. Yeah. So it's the first American appearance of Kaneda and Tetsuo, first full color printing, Katsuhiro Otomo story, cover, and art. The second print is about $40 to $60 raw. There are only 5 9.8s. It's a low pop book.
And one of the things about this book specifically, if you ever want to read it this way, colored and left to right, back to front to back, the only way to do it is these books. There's no reprint. There's no collected edition. They will. It's not in their hands anymore. Dark Horse has the rights, I believe. So, got it. All right, that brings another show to a close. We thank everybody for joining us. We hope you had a great New Year. We hope you had a great holiday, and we will see you every week. Everybody, if you have any questions or comments, put it in the field. We will see you next week. That's everybody. Thank you at the same bat time, same bat channel. Bye, guys.